Okay guys, so I'm going to give you my quick rundown for the Eleague Boston Major group stage pick'em challenge predictions. Um, so first let's recap what happened with the prelims. Obviously this could have went a lot better, and some shocking results here. I knew that these four picks were going to be pretty much guaranteed, and it turns out they were. Um, FaZe Clan, I was really really surprised they didn't go 3-0. They got upset by Vega Squadron, which was pretty fucking shocking. But Vega actually looked like a really solid team. They look like they've improved a lot since the last major. Um, and they could potentially upset since they actually made it to the top 16. And also, I thought this Quantum pick was basically a toss-up between them and Flash, and they ended up actually somehow squeezing into the top 16. They played like the worst teams at the event, and it's kind of unfair, but I mean, that's what the Swiss system's going to do sometimes. It's going to give you unfavorable matchups in the long run. Nothing you can really do. They're pretty lucky to be in the top 16. In the end, Flash Gaming did go 0-3, so if I was willing to spend an extra dollar for a point, might have been worth it. Was really disappointed in how Renegades played. They got 2 wins, and they even had a chance since 100 Thieves dropped out of the major to still make it through, and they could not do it. So that's very disappointing. And Misfits started off really hot at the event, and then they just completely fell apart. Really kind of disappointing. And with Envious, I actually think they might have been able to squeeze through, but unfortunately for them, RPK got sick, their best player, and he wasn't able to play in their elimination match. I really do think that had they had RPK and he was at full health, they may have been able to squeeze into the top 16. But either way, we'll end up with 4 points, which is okay since this is like the bonus points. More or less, like if you didn't play these prelims, you could still get a gold trophy by doing group stage and playoffs. It would just be very difficult. So I kind of view this as just like a little bit of wiggle room now that I have to get the gold trophy. And before we move on to the group stage, I just want to address that I was very mistaken about Space Soldiers. They really did impress me this event, and I do regret not picking them. With all that being said, though, let's move on to the group stage. Okay, so we're going to start off with the 0-3 team, since this is like a pretty obvious one, at least to me. Quantum, definitely going to be 0-3 here. They are way out of their league. The only other team that may go 0-3, in my opinion, would maybe be Liquid, since they're playing with a stand-in, and they only made it into the top 16 because of 100 Thieves dropping out and relinquishing their major spot. Yeah, I don't think Quantum's going to win a single game here. Yeah, they just aren't a very good team. The next team that I'm going to choose is going to be my 3-0 team. I just want to say the reason why this video is so late is because I've gone through so many different scenarios for how this group stage is going to play out. I originally even had like Mouse Sports as my 3-0 because in theory, if you put all the weak teams or all the very, very strong teams to come out of the group stage and not put any of the strong teams as a 3-0, you can kind of get guaranteed points. But when I do that, I just feel very uncomfortable with the team that I end up being my 3-0, which for a little bit was actually Mouse Sports. But I've changed that, and I'm gonna go with FaZe Clan again here. I really do think that FaZe is like the best team at this tournament still, even though they did lose to Vega in the prelims. I actually do think this is their major to lose, considering the circumstances with SK. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with FaZe as my 3-0. I know historically in Swiss system events, The favorite team doesn't go 3-0. However, I'm going to stick with FaZe here. I feel pretty comfortable with them as my 3-0. So the next team that I'm going to pick is going to be SK. Even though they got a stand-in with Phelps, he was on the team for like 6 or 7 months, and they actually won some events and placed a lot of top 4s. I don't think it's going to hinder them that much. They definitely will make it through the group stage. What they do in the playoffs is going to be very interesting. But yeah, I think SK is a very, very safe pick here. The next team that seems very obvious to me would be Astralis. It is actually confirmed that they're going to be playing with Device. However, Device will not be opting this event. They're going to keep it with Dupree. That's kind of strange to me, but I guess it kind of makes sense, like, so that they don't ask too much of Device, since he is overcoming like a sickness that he had, which kept him out for like 2 months. I still think Astralis is a very, very safe pick. They definitely, in my opinion, will make it through the group stage. Probably not 3-0, probably more like 3-1. But yeah, they're definitely a very, very strong team, and they actually have their full lineup, so they could be a very, very dangerous dark horse this event. The next team that I'm going to be picking is going to be Fnatic. I'm actually extremely high on Fnatic. I think they ended the year on a very, very strong note. They placed top 4 at EPL and ECS. And even though they got bodied by like FaZe Clan, which is kind of like their kryptonite, and they actually have to play them on the first day of this event, I still think they're going to be able to make it through 3-1 or 3-2. I'm very high on Golden as their in-game leader. I think he's like done an amazing job with what he's got. Flusher's starting to find his form again. Crims is doing a pretty good job from what I've seen. NJW is starting to op a lot better. And obviously Electro's just a solid player. Yeah, with all the major experience that the core of the Fnatic lineup have, I find it hard not to pick them to advance out of the group stage, and I've been impressed with their results as of late. And I know they've been boot camping hard, so I'm going to pick Fnatic to go out as a pretty safe bet. The next team that I think is going to go out of the group stage is going to be North. So even though North has had bad results lately, I recently saw a post by Valdi saying that they've been like boot camping extremely hard and that they're super, super, super prepared for this major, and I 100% believe them. I originally didn't have North in my bracket. However, I think based off of their sheer map pool, and I actually do think MSL is a very, very good in-game leader, I think North is going to be able to make it through the group stage. It probably won't be pretty. And if they do actually lose their first game to Vega, this becomes a very questionable pick. But I think they're going to win that game and get off to a hot start, which is going to spark them to make it through to the group stage, or out of the group stage. Yeah, I think they're going to be super motivated considering they haven't done anything at tournaments as of late. And they actually were in super good form for a lot of the year, so hopefully they recapture that. The next team that I'm going to go with here is going to be Gambit. So obviously Gambit are the reigning champions. I personally have never been super high on Gambit. Like, I really was impressed with how they played at PGL Krakow. But like in my pick'em challenges in the past, I always seem to pass them up, and they always surprise me. The core of the Gambit lineup has actually always made it out of the group stage, except for MLG Columbus, which was their first major together. So I really do think they're gonna do it again, even without Zeus. It is questionable whether or not Fitch is going to play well. However, I still do have faith in the core of the lineup that won the major last year. So I'm going to stick with Gambit here for the first time and actually put them to move it out of the group stage. Um, the next team I'm gonna go with here is going to be G2. Um, so the thing about G2 is that if this lineup doesn't make it through the group stage this time, there's a very high likelihood there's going to be another French shuffle. For that reason, I think they're going to be super motivated to get it to work and finally make it out of the group stage for the first time in a very, very long time. I think it's been 4 majors, maybe 4 or 5 majors since a French team has made it out of the group stage. I don't think any French team has done it since Envious won Cluj-Napoca back in 2015. So yeah, I think they're going to be super motivated, and I was kind of impressed with how they played at the preliminaries. So yeah, I think G2 is going to do it. So this leaves the last pick, which I found to be very, very difficult to make. Like I said originally, I had Mouse Sports to advance. However, I don't think it's going to be the case anymore. I read something on HLTV where Chris J said that his team is not going to be practicing any major opponents, any of the top 16, over the course of the little bit of time off between the prelims and the group stage, which I think is a mistake. It could hinder Mouse Sports. And historically, they've always seemed to choke, actually. Even though this is a new lineup, I don't think it's going to happen this time, unfortunately. Another option would be Navi, but I really wasn't impressed with how they played at the preliminaries. And I don't think that even with Zeus, they're going to be able to do it just yet. It'll probably take another major for them to finally find their groove. And then, of course, there's Virtus Pro. Personally, I would like to put Virtus Pro in. However, I just can't really justify it. They haven't really been playing well. I know they've taken a lot of time off, so that could actually mean that they're super prepared. But overall, I really am of the belief that this Virtus Pro lineup is like coming to an end here. I think this might be the start of an end of an era. Unfortunately, but I could obviously be very, very wrong. Virtus Pro could find their form and definitely make it through the prelims or the group stage, but I personally don't think it's gonna happen this time. So with all that being said, I'm actually gonna pick Cloud9 as the last team here. I was super impressed with how they played in the prelims, and I think they're going to be super motivated, especially since it's a major that's hosted in America, to get into the playoffs so they can play in front of the crowd. If I wasn't from NA and I wasn't so high on Cloud9, I would most likely pick Virtus Pro instead. However, I'm going to stick with the boys here and say that they're going to make it through the group stage, even though they have a tough round 1 matchup with they're playing G2. It's like a 50-50. I still think they're going to find a way to finally break the curse and get Skadoodle into the top 8 of a major. So these are going to be my picks for the group stage of the Boston Major in Eleague. Let me know what you think. Hopefully we do a little bit better than we did with the prelims. I really did put a lot of time into picking these, and I am pretty comfortable with what I came up with. Unfortunately, I do think this might be it for Virtus Pro, but obviously I could be very wrong, and they could find a way to prove it, and perhaps they'll do it. They always seem to find a way, but I don't think it's going to happen this time. Anyway, thanks for watching, and that's going to be it until the playoffs. Enjoy the major.